First Hawaiian Bank. 819. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning.
Right on. Let's head right into the KUAM News Zoom room where we have Superintendent of Education Jon Fernandez sitting by on what's looking like Island Shirt Wednesday.
Off day. Good morning.
Morning, Superintendent. So we'll just get right into it. We'll get you on every week to provide an update. As we kind of wind down towards summer, what are some of the things that you guys are working on now?
I wish I could say that we're winding down too for summer, but I want to say that. But I'm in the car right now because we've been out of schools every day, and I'm just preparing, in a few minutes to go start a tour of LBJ school here, and then we'll hit to Mooney Elementary, Chief Brody, and JFK later this morning. And I think we're maybe a week away from finishing all the schools. But we're doing this because we really want to grapple with the challenges that we have to bring our kids back to school face to face for 5 days of instruction next year. That's really our goal. And as we go school by school, we're working, looking at how they're organizing their classrooms, looking at what help and support our schools need, some of the challenges or issues they might face in the common areas, the cafeteria, to see what we can do to provide solutions so we can have our students return to what will hopefully feel like a regular school year. I think right now what I can say is that we do have maybe between 10 to 15 schools who say that already that they're ready to go for 5 days of instruction. They're able to get all their students back. They don't have the space issues. But as you get further north and as you get to schools of higher populations, it becomes a challenge where we are very close, but we're not quite at a point where we can say that every student can come back. Right. So we're pushing it. We're trying to figure out ways to assist the school. We need to help clear equipment and furniture out of the room so that you can maximize more desks and more students. If we need to switch out desks because you're using shared tables instead of desks, what can we do to purchase more of these desks with the federal funds that we have, and so on and so forth. So we're in that solution finding mode. Ultimately, though, I think we're going to really need to talk to public health and the lieutenant governor and the governor about where we think we might be in a month or two, because I think if we have just a little bit more flexibility with the safety parameters, we might be able to reach our goal. And what I mean by flexibility is that, a lot of these safety measures are put in place, in isolation. So, the distancing is assuming you might be sneezing and someone needs to be at least 6 feet away in order to maybe minimize the risk. But, when you layer the distancing on top of the face mask, on top of the hand sanitizing, the frequent cleaning, we think we're creating and we're maintaining a safe environment from what we've observed. And we'd like to see if there will be any more flexibility to give us, on a school by school basis, the opportunity to make the adjustments and so forth that we need to bring our kids back and do it safely based on the schools, the school's plans and the school's setup. So that's what we actually have a meeting today, this afternoon. Chairman Mark Mendiola, Vice Chairwoman, Dr. Mary Okada, myself, and the Lieutenant Governor, and I believe some of the public health representatives too, to start this conversation so that we can make decisions soon. It'll really help us with the planning for next school year.
John, I know that you guys are encouraging students to enroll in summer school, which is running in both face-to-face and online formats from June 7th through July 16th. What's the response been with enrollment?
I don't have a count just yet, but I know that our concern is that that we might not get the enrollment that we want because summer school is not required. But we know that it's important for our students to have the opportunities to come back and to participate either in our academic programs or hopefully with other partners in the camps and programs that our partners are conducting. So we really have been working to push the information out through our school networks, through our parent-teacher networks, and through our mayors and we'll continue to do so through the end of this week, and then we'll have a better count as to what the schools are reporting in terms of registration. But I do, again, we just really want to put the word out there that we know our kids, the kids that we see coming back to school really enjoy being back with their friends. They've done a great job as far as we've been able to observe, following the rules. I mean, it looks like all the kids are used to the mask, used to the hand washing, the hand sanitizing, even down to the kindergarten level. So, we're really encouraged by that, and we do hope that more students and families will take advantage of the opportunity to keep their kids engaged over the summer.
John, is this latest delay of the reopening of the island and just some of the clusters, has it altered at all you guys' plans for next school year?
It hasn't altered our plans because, we've been looking at this as a game plan to get us from where we are today to August. So it's important that we monitor and we keep up to date with all the latest guidance and the latest developments that are happening around the island. So at this point, we do share the concern and we do share the need to take a cautionary approach to further reopening, because we are, even though we're still at a very low and acceptable level in terms of the new cases and positive cases that we're seeing, we know that further uptick will put us into different categories of risk, which may force us to think about whether or not we're really ready to bring families back for the coming school year. So we're not there yet. I do think that the governor's put out that cautionary note. I would do the same to all of our members of the community, the same way I do with our athletes, our students at school. If you want to keep going in this direction, if you want this opportunity to come back to school, to come back to your activities, we have to follow the rules. We have to make sure we're safe, and we have to remind each other to not be relaxed and not let our guard down. Let's keep practicing what we need to practice until we get the vaccinations further along and we hear better news about the ability for to bring this virus under control.
John, I know you're about to get down at a school and do a tour, but I wanted just real quick to get your reaction on this letter that Congressman San Nicolas had sent to the budget chair, Joe San Augustine. I don't know if you're able to get eyes on it, but basically what the congressman, the title of the release is Congressman San Nicolas Defends Education, and I guess the takeaway is that he's urging the budget chair to not reduce local appropriations to education just because they've received a significant amount of federal funds.
Right. I did have a chance to talk to Congressman San Nicolas about a week and a half ago, and our conversation was exactly about this issue. He wanted to know, how we were doing in terms of the expenditures of the federal funds, what we were using it for, what our strategy was to use the funds going forward to help our kids return to school, and so we did just have that discussion. He did ask about the local budget situation, and I did inform him that our biggest concern is determining whether or not there will be commitment by the government, and I mean by our legislature and by the governor, to meet the maintenance of effort requirements that are really required in order to access these federal funds for our children. And so that maintenance of effort does set forth the formula for calculating the minimum level of support that needs to be appropriated to the department. And so we're working with the governor's office and the legislature to clarify whether we'll be able to meet that maintenance of effort. And if that level of funding is met on the local side, that will allow us, to use our federal funds to really supplement and support the reopening of schools, and that's really the intent. So if the maintenance of effort is met, then we should be in good shape. If not, if the legislature seeks a waiver and we use these federal funds to replace things that we were going to pay for anyway through the course of a normal school year, it just means less money is available to go to those unfunded areas that we've neglected for such a long time, including facilities, our facilities repairs, and other items that we've had to address.
Interesting. Because I'm pretty sure other agencies are kind of facing the same thing where we're seeing, oh, if GVB is getting 20 million, then we deduct that from the local funds there.
Well, I'm sure they are, and I think that's probably the impetus behind the 660 million that of course was provided to the governor for to help offset the revenue impacts from the pandemic.
Right.
And then of course I know the earned income tax credit payout will really help us here on Guam. So I think the resources there's a lot of resources flowing into the island. I just want to point out that when it comes to the education funding, that's where Congress put in that specific requirement for maintenance of effort, and it said, look, the intent here is not to use these funds to just replace funds that were lost, but really it's a partnership where they're looking for a local commitment to maintain a level of support for our schools, and the federal funding will then come on top of it, so we can get our kids back to school. And I think that's a critical part of our reopening strategy, anyway. So that's our focus, is using these funds for, the sustained reopening of schools, get our kids back safely, keep them in school safely. And we think that's going to be fundamental to all the other plans to reopen the island, because our parents need to go back to work. They need those jobs to return. They need to be back earning for their families. And many parents can't do it if they're going to be asked to stay home, provide childcare, teach their kids, be the technology specialists at home, and so forth. So we're doing what we can, and we're working with the governor. We'll work with the legislature as we get closer to budget season to sort those things out.
All right, John. Appreciate your time. Hey, but just real quick, so for August, we're looking at full-on face-to-face. I'm sorry, my son was asking me. I mean, I should know.
Well, come August, we still are allowed for parents to sign their students up for online. But other than that, everybody else is going to come back for face-to-face instruction. The question is whether it's going to be for 5 days or whether we're going to have to alternate days based on the number of students. So that's a decision. That's the issue we're trying to work on right now. And I hope it'll be back to 5 days so that our kids can come back, get back into the routine. Maintain a very steady stream of communication and engagement with their teachers and classmates. I think that's the goal for all of our schools.
Right on. Thank you, John. Appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, that's that. There you go. Jon Fernandez, GDOE Superintendent.